Let's watch this though.
The Daily Wire. It's been getting.
This is the Valuetainment show. This is with PBD. Who's ready to get Valuetained? I'm gonna be honest. I never watch PBD. It seems like a type of show that the people on it would just infuriate me to a degree that it would make it make it impossible for me to enjoy. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But anyway, we're about to get Valuetained. We're gonna talk about the Daily Wire now. Let's see what PBD has to say. Apparently, he thinks that they really need. Or they need a real CEO. Daily Wire raises $100 million to consider's IPO. First note, Mr. Business Boy, you might want to get someone to do a double check on your titles before they go out. Now, I do this sometimes. My titles sometimes have typos, okay? But you're a big business boy with 7 million subscribers, and I'm a small streamer with like 200 subscribers. So anyway, let's go ahead and see what's going on in the world of the Daily Wire and PBD himself and the Valuetainment crew.
Stomped on by everybody left and right the last 30, 60, 90 days. They're losing people. People are quitting. They're doing this. They're doing that. And then yesterday's story comes out that Daily Wire, under pressure, seeks strategic investors, targets IPO. I think they raised $100 million yesterday at a valuation of $2 billion, if I'm not mistaken. And the numbers came out, if you want to go a little bit lower on these numbers, showing the fact that they have, let me just read this. In talks to take at least $100 million investment, initial public offering in a few years. The company, which was founded by Ben Shapiro in 2015, has been in talks with High Mount Capital to lead a funding round that would be value the company at, it's $750 million, according to documents reviewed by Semaphore. The Daily Wire, which is trying to take on New York Times from the right, privately disclosed that it notched $48 million in EBITDA last year, but it just failed to grow its subscriber base and to keep ones in. It has paying, and documents show go a little bit lower. The company banker said it has fielded buyout offers above $1 billion, but the Daily Wire founders prefer to take minority aligned investment to grow the business, according to the documents. Those bankers said.
By the way, this type of IPO play is pretty common in businesses that are like going down, like going under. I don't know if people are aware of that, but like it's usually often a last-ditch effort to try to save the business. I think like Trump's like Truth Social company or whatever did a similar sort of thing. So this is not a good sign. In case you're curious, this is not a good sign from the Daily Wire.
At a $2 billion IPO could be achievable within 18 months. So $750 million valuation, and then they go to $2 billion when they go public. The company parted ways with Jeremy Boring. We just had him on a couple weeks ago. We had a great conversation. So, Elon, where are you at with this? Is this it, by the way, subscribership? Let's just look at this real quick. Revenue has slowed or contracted. This is subscriptions. In 2021, they grew 151%. In 2022, they went up 80%. 2023, 8%. 2024, 10%. 25 down, 26, they're down 16%. Advertising up 22 down.
Yeah, if you look at this, it's interesting that their advertising went up so much in 2026, but their subscription count went down so much in 2026.
17 down 3, down 5, up 14. Is there any?
It's like, is it the more that they advertise, the less people want to see it?
The data that you want to show outside of that? And what is this? Daily Wire subscribership from 257 in 2020 to 558. I think that 558 to 1 million. That's what is a woman of a
which was huge,
which was massive. Matt Walsh to 1 million, 1,000,002, 1,020, 260,000, 852, 771. Some would say 771 is still a solid number to have today. Elon, your thoughts on this story?
One thing that Daily Wire did, which is very smart, is it always focused heavily on its subscription model. I think the trend is what matters. We don't yet know if it's going to continue trending down. I think when you look there, you see they go from 1.26 million to 852,000 to 771,000.
Well, we don't know if it's going to trend down, I guess, necessarily. But we can use our brains though, right? Like, I mean, I think it's obvious to anybody who's paying attention that the Daily Wire, like their model of like pseudo intellectual conservatism is like not very popular anymore, right? Like it's getting less and less popular by the day. like I think like I want to be like completely clear. I think that Ben Shapiro is much more of a like traditional conservative who just kind of got like brought along for the ride when it comes to Trump and MAGA. Like I think that he is much more like a Liz Cheney sort of dude, like in terms of his own politics. So I don't necessarily think he even like enjoys that, like, because I mean, my evidence of that is just that he didn't want Trump to get elected the first time. Like he said, we cannot allow the Conservative Party to become this. And then obviously he got in line after he realized where the winds were blowing, or like once the winds had already like blown over, right? He did get in line. But yeah, so, and there used to be an actual market for this like pseudo intellectual conservatism where because Ben Shapiro's whole like brand is that he makes like these like debate lord ass like videos about like why conservatism is right and why liberalism is wrong or whatever, right? Like that's like how he came to fame. He came to fame debating people on college campuses and stuff, like debating, you know, college students about like why conservatives like, and he would use like pseudo intellectual arguments to make his point. But like that has lost a lot of salience now, because that only works for people who are invested actually in the project of conservatism, people who are ideological like conservatives, right? But MAGA isn't that, right? MAGA is not like a quote unquote conservative movement. It's like a fascist movement, right? It's a fascist takeover using conservatism and conservative ideas and reactionaryism as their through line. And as that gains more and more power in the political ecosystem, people don't need like pseudo intellectual arguments. Everybody's already made up their mind. You're either with the fascists, you're either like with the fascists and going along with that agenda, that like white nativist, like white national Christian nationalist movement, or you're not, or you're like anti-fascist. Like those are the only two options, right? And so, like, and you don't need like intellectual arguments to be a part of the fascist movement. Like the Nazis back in the day did not make like intellectual arguments as to like why they needed to like round up Jews and throw them in concentration camps, right? They just said Jews are the problem. They are the problem, and we are going to solve the problem by throwing them in concentration camps, right? In the same vein that like right now they're saying migrants are the problem, and we are going to solve the problem by throwing the migrants into concentration camps. Like this does not need an intellectual argument for people to go along with it. And so people are not looking for that anymore. They're looking for people to just fulfill the immediate propaganda urges that they feel. And I would say like people like Asmongold, or people even like Tim Pool, like people who have like sloppy, low effort content that is not necessarily intellectual, but fulfills your base need for buy-in into the propaganda, or buy into this, like, to the movement. Like that's basically what they're looking for. So everything else beside that at this point in time, in the current iteration of like MAGA fascism, is honestly just completely unnecessary. And people are like, why would I watch that when I can get it mainline directly? Like, why would I watch you dress up the same ideology or whatever in all of these pseudo intellectual terms when I could just go straight to the source and get the unfiltered shit right over there, you know? I think that that's probably like, I think that by using our brains, we can say like, that is the direction that right wingers are moving towards, and they will move away from Ben Shapiro's style of conservatism as a result of that. And that would be my prediction if I was going to make a prediction.
Clearly a decline from their peak, which is worrisome. But again, they have a very strong business because they've always put resources behind the subscription model. I do think there's trends to things. I think Daily Wire has lost a lot of its kind of, that flair that it used to have. I think now they're starting to get to a foundational base. So if that can stay steady, I don't know how they're going to grow it from there. That's my concern with Daily Wire. I don't imagine that this is suddenly going to trend upward. So if you're trying to value a company, listen, 50 million on EBITDA on a subscription-based model, what are you going to give? What kind of valuation do you give on a company like that with expectations that you give 5x on?
First of all, 50 billion in EBITDA is respectable.
It's incredible. That's what I'm saying. It's amazing.
$50 million EBITDA.
No, I'm saying
investors are looking. This is what I would do if I had Daily Wire. So we were approached at one point by a $20 billion fund to do a roll-up and buy 5 of them, and they had interest of me running the entire roll-up at the top. And Tom, we had extensive. When was this, by the way? The conversations that we had.
I think it was exactly 2 years ago at Four Seasons on the Beach on the conference room.
Something like that. When we had these meetings, this was something like that.
I think exactly 2 years ago.
But I'm talking about the other fund guys that came here that we sat down in the kitchen and we had the conversations. You know who I'm talking about upstairs? That's who I'm talking about. And I think that was like 12 months ago or 9 months ago, something like that. But let me tell you what's going to happen. What they need is a real operator. That's what they need. They need a real operator. If they get a real operator that's willing to come and operate this, not advertising, not interested. All I'm saying is if they get a real operator that comes in and is willing to operate this, has the experience, knows how to handle being under fire, and they come up with some good ideas. Remember this.
I think he wants to be in charge of the Daily Wire. I think that's what he wants. Honestly, he couldn't solve the problem either, I don't think.
Story is going to lead into the next one of Google putting the money into A24. So there is that possibility. The market's looking for something like that. The market would like a second option to Fox as a competitor, specifically for conservatives. But if they don't bring the right people in, they're going to have a challenge there. Humberto, your thoughts?
Can I disagree a little bit?
It's the same problem that the Young Turks have, right? Like the Young Turks is like the equivalent of the Daily Wire, but for like progressive politics, right? I mean, you could argue like the Young Turks is kind of reactionary as well. However, like they are a big company with a whole lot of like infrastructure and a lot of money put into their sets, and they have a big team, and like, and it's modeled after a traditional news organization, and all that sort of stuff. And like, the problem is that, and the Daily Wire is basically just the same sort of, it's like the same sort of business model. But the direction of media in general is moving towards people like yours truly. Just like it's micro influencers and just influencers in general, of like, just individual personalities, like giving their interpretation of things and how they feel about stuff. And like, and that can be news related or not news related. And so their entire business model was always, I think, a little bit doomed to fail, even despite like like, even if you take away what I was talking about earlier, which is like the direction that the Conservative Party is going in, the direction of media consumption is also going towards individuals with like smaller, like easier to manage budgets, like very small budgets. And it's all centered around individual personalities as well. And so I think that, in that regard, they're also having like similar problems that I think TYT is also having.
So, I mean, you see people, I was driving down the street the other day and I saw a guy driving a Tesla, all right? He's driving the car and he has a sticker on the back. It's like, I bought this before Elon was there, all right? The guy, the Daily Wire, relies on Ben Shapiro as the head of the company. So Elon can say things and can sell other things at the same time. When you are selling what you're saying, it's very difficult to keep the company afloat. You know what I mean? Tom, you will remember the BuzzFeed IPO case. Like, I think they went public through SPAC, and it was an absolute disaster. So it plummeted. So keeping this content outfit, especially when you're in the political space, I wouldn't put my money on it. You know what I mean? No disrespect. I respect the Daily Wire. I think they do a tremendous job. I think their business model.
I think it would be a bad bet. If you were going to invest, I would advise you not to. I would advise you not to bet on Daily Wire giving you any sort of return anytime soon. In fact, I would guess that you would end up like losing money if you bet on that company right now.
Model works for them, but is it enough to go public? I don't know, Pat.
Well, I think there's two. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to finish this with this. There's two problems. Number one, Ben Shapiro is heavily connected to the value of the company. So you have an individual who, if they, for any reason, goes.
How much of it do you think? What percentage do you think is tied?
From what I know from people, I would say he's responsible for the overwhelming majority of the subscription.
Ben Shapiro stops creating content next 3 years. What happens? Daily Wire.
It's decimated.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
I actually kind of agree with PPD here. I don't necessarily think it is that tied into the personality of Ben Shapiro. I think back in the day it was, when it was originally created, it was. But I think at this point, it's just fulfilling a niche in the market of, like I said, that pseudo-intellectual conservatism. And I think most people on his staff could probably fulfill that role. I honestly think you could swap Ben Shapiro with whoever. And I don't necessarily think it would impact them that much. Maybe a little bit for sure, but I don't know if it would impact them that much. But I don't know. I'm not the business boy here, though.
100% believe that.
I think that a percentage will be decimated. I think a percentage will be decimated. I don't know if it'll be. I don't know if it's going to be out. Period. And by the way, that is the challenge today. When I had Jeremy Boring here 2 weeks ago, it's a different era to be an operator and a talent. But we're in that era.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of guys back in the days, Ted Turner was not a talent. Ted Turner was a what? Just an operator. Mm-hmm. He was a guy on the back end. So you didn't hear his opinion. You were hearing the news. And he, in his book, if you've ever read the book, They Call Me Ted, which I think Shapiro needs to read if he hasn't already. When you read that book, you'll see how different it was the way they built it. I do think they have a chance, but we'll see. They have a lot of enemies, and a lot of times when you have enemies, you know who's going to get tested? The individual is going to get tested. The part that you got to respect about what they're doing here is the following. I like that they're just wanting to take minority positions. Mm-hmm. I like that it's only minority positions, because when you're taking minority positions, what are you saying to the market?
Minority? I don't know about that.
We're going to survive.
We believe
that it's going to.
I don't like them taking the minority positions.
To the market.
I don't know what he's talking about.
We're going to survive.
We believe
that it's going to succeed. Yes.
If they came in and they're like, no, hey,
get us out. We want out.
Hey, that's a different story. Yeah. Snyder, your thoughts?
That's exactly where I was going to go. The fact that they're only soliciting minority.
Man, they got too many people on this show.
Tells me that they think that there's a pathway forward here. They just need some liquidity to get through the rough patch.
Also, one thing I've never understood is these like hat displays. Like, you could display anything. Why display hats? Maybe I'm just not a hat guy, but that seems a little bit like one of the things that I would least care about displaying out of anything,
Patch, and that maybe there's some growth someplace else. But I also agree with you guys. It is top heavy, extremely top heavy. Who else do you know from the Daily Wire? I mean, Matt Walsh.
Yeah, but
Michael Knowles.
Yeah, but
those two are good.
Not comparatively to
right, exactly.
Matt Walsh?
So
nowhere near. In terms of this, like if you look at the amount of views that Ben Shapiro commands and commanded, in terms of even Matt Walsh's and Michael Knowles' views exists as a byproduct of Ben Shapiro.
I think I'm done with this. I tried it, people. I tried being Valuetained. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't that Valuetained. I've seen people react to funnier clips by them where they're just like wrong a lot. This one was, I don't know. It was whatever. I think that, I do think that the Daily Wire is on the downswing. And I think that this IPO is likely like I said, like a similar to, I think it was like Truth Social or whatever, like a last ditch effort to save the company sort of situation. And so we'll see what happens if they actually go through with this IPO or not. But yeah, maybe I'll try another PPD clip some other time. I'm not saying I'm never going to do it again, but they weren't as entertaining as I was hoping they would be.